Hey friends, what's up? Okay, so today I'm sure you'll all be happy to know, and you're waiting with bated breath. After 12 and a half days off the electric grid here on the North Shore of Long Island, we are back on the grid. They finished up with the tree trimming, and we got hit with the double whammy of Hurricane Sandy and then the nor'easter. And Long Island's North Shore was the epicenter of both storms. So we lived for a week on a Coleman lantern, this 1850 surge rated 1500 watt in reality generator, and cover up the name because I'm not getting paid, and a barbecue grill, and flashlights that go on your head, LED flashlights, because the batteries. That's why my hair is so fucking screwed up. All right, so this video anyway, I'm gonna show you guys how to put your generator away so the next time you need it, whether it's in a week, a year, or 5 years, you're gonna start it right up. You're not gonna have any trouble with any gum or varnish in the carburetor. You're not gonna have any trouble with moisture in the oil or any crap like that. So just watch my quick video here on the handyman zone, and we're gonna show you how to lay your generator up. The whole point is taking this generator here, which is on the bottom of the stack, you can't quite see it, cleaning out all and rotating all the fluids and putting it in the box that it came in and putting it away for storage. So it's going to be ready for next time. Check it out. We're going to need some sort of flashlight. You're going to need some sort of stick or piece of metal, a couple of screwdrivers, a flathead and a Phillips head. This comes in handy. It's a combination screwdriver, and it's also a nut driver. It's going to come in very handy. A 1/2-inch open end wrench, set of channel locks, couple of rags. See my video on making old t-shirts into rags. They come in very handy. Some sort of spray degreaser cleaner, a fuel stabilizer product, and a couple of empty containers we're going to use to catch the gas in the basin. Now, first things first, we're going to change the oil on this puppy before we lay it up for storage. And the reason we're going to do that is because once you run an engine with oil in it, the oil is like contaminated with combustion stuff, byproducts, and becomes like slightly corrosive and stuff. So on a small engine like this, they recommend that you change the oil after the first 25 hours, which we considered the break-in period. It's very important to change the oil at that 25-hour mark. And thereafter, it's every 100 hours of operation. The first 25 hours, you have to use like a natural dinosaur oil, and they recommend like a straight weight, like a 40 or a 30W. None of that 15W stuff for these small engines. It's always a straight weight, a 30 or a 40. Would use a 40 in the summertime season, would use a 30 in the wintertime season. All I was able to obtain in the stores at this point after the hurricanes, when it's basically an emergency situation, was this 40 weight. So that's what we're going with, because that's all that was available. Now, after the initial break-in, where you want wear and tear on your engine so it breaks in nicely, you can check that out on Google. You're going to use a natural dinosaur oil. After that first break in 25 hours, you could switch to a synthetic oil and extend your oil change intervals by like 50%, if indeed you wanted to. Or you could stay with a straight dinosaur natural oil and just go with the recommended oil change intervals. That being said, the oil plug is here. You're going to loosen it up with a wrench. Counterclockwise is loosened. You're going to take that plug out. You're going to catch the waste oil in some sort of receptacle or container. Then using a funnel or something, a rolled up piece of paper, you're going to transfer it to a jug to bring to the recycling center. At that point, you can reinstall your oil plug, wipe up any oil that may have gotten on your machine, because remember, we are putting this away for storage. We want it nice and neat. Maybe you're going to use a little of that spray degreaser to clean the oil area. wipe it down and refill the crankcase at this point with new motor oil to the recommended fill level. At this point, we're going to drain the fuel tank. And this is gasoline, so you got to be careful you don't get any in your eyes or spill it on the floor, because it stinks, and it also, from what I understand, is very flammable and can catch on fire very easily. This particular generator, there's a fuel shutoff right here. And we're going to shut that off, which would be turning the valve across the direction of the hose. This end of the hose comes from the tank. The other end of the hose goes through the machine to the other side to the carburetor. We have shut it off right at the valve. We're going to take our channel locks and squeezing this little clamp that they have clamped on here. We're going to move the clamp up about an inch, and then we're going to twist and manipulate to separate the fuel line. Have your container ready, because there may indeed be a few drops that drip out of the carburetor end of it. Of course, this gas tank end of it we have just shut off, so there will be none dripping out. Now, all generators are slightly different. Whether or not yours has a shut-off valve or not, you'll have to figure out yourself. If this didn't have a shut-off valve, I would take the clamp off right here, which is the bottom of the fuel tank, and I would be ready right away to catch the remaining gasoline in whatever container I had direct from the tank. But with this particular machine, because it does have that shut-off, I'm able to stick the hose into a container, turn that valve back on, crack the fill so I don't create a vacuum and the gas flows out nice, and then just wait like 10 minutes holding this here while the gas drains out into the jug, which I'm not going to bore you with, but I'm going to stand here for the next 10 minutes and let this jug fill with gasoline. Okay friends, now that I've drained all the gasoline out of the tank, I closed that valve back off, but actually I had to like tilt the machine this way and that way and this way and that way in order to get the last few drops out. Then I even noticed, looking in the top, that there was even a few more drops around the edges, that there were no way, no matter how I manipulated it, I couldn't get those last few drops out. So what I did was I put a little fuel stabilizer product that they sell back in some of the gas. It's like an ounce to a gallon. And then I poured it back in the tank and I sloshed it around. And then I actually drained it out again. Okay, so you actually should have done that before. Drain that out again. And now there's still a couple of little drops in there that I can't get out, so I'm taking a clean rag, okay, and I'm putting one end in the fill hole of the gas tank, and I'm not letting go of the other end, but if I did accidentally let go of it and it all ended up in the tank, I could reach in there with a pair of needle nose or a coat hanger bent with a hook, and I could fish it out. And then I'm taking that little stick that I told you about before, and I'm pushing it around in an effort to sop up the last couple of drops of gas. And then again, I'll take the whole generator and I'll move it out, because I want to get every last drop of gas to suck into this rag here. Okay, so now this rag has gasoline all over it. But not enough, because I want to take it and I want to wipe down the machine a little bit to do a little extra cleaning. So I pour a little more gasoline on top of it. Now what I'm going to have is like an gasoline soaked rag, which is perfect for cleaning up like greasy fingerprints and stuff on the machine. So I can take the gasoline soaked rag, and then I can just like wipe down the machine and it'll come nice and clean. Now we're going to move on to draining the carburetor. And you know I was only fucking around with you guys, my YouTube friends. You know this is fucking water I put in here, you know. It's just a fucking joke, so don't be hating on me in the comment box. That was my friend up at the gas station. He got gas and he gave me a ring to let me know, because there's like 2-hour lines for fucking gas on Long Island for the last 2 weeks. It's retarded. But you guys know I was only fucking with you with the water here, so don't be hating on me. Alright guys, so we buttoned that fuel line back up the way we found it, and we slid that little clampy back up in the exact place we found it. We left it in the off position for storage. We're going to flip the generator around and come to the other side. Now, I've loosened this up for, you know, just to speed things up. But we're going to take that combination screwdriver of ours, and we're going to take the cover off the air filter. So we're just going to loosen up on this one there's a couple of screws. We're going to loosen up. We're going to take the cover off the air filter. Behind this you're going to find the air filter. This one actually has a two-part air filter. One is a paper element, okay, and then this is just a cover. I'm going to put it down. So there's a paper element, and then there's like a foam element here. On some small engines, they recommend you put a couple of drops of oil on the foam, and this one they don't recommend it. So check your owner's manual. Okay, so we're going to inspect and change as needed. This is fine. We've inspected it. We're not going to change, but it would be a change as needed. And we're going to put everything back together the way we found it. Okay, and we're going to stick it back in there and set this aside. Next, we're confronted with this carburetor plate. And it's actually, this one is held on with 3 nuts that we're going to use. We took the screwdriver thing out, and we're just using the hole on the screwdriver and taking the 3 nuts. And again, I've loosened this up just for argument's sake. And now we can see in here our carburetor. And there's a bowl on the bottom of the carburetor. Up under the middle of the bowl on the bottom of the carburetor, you're either going to find a nut, or you're going to find what they call a little tickle valve. A little tickle valve would be like a brass push button. You would reach in there and just tickle it with your finger, and any gas in the fuel bowl would come out. This one doesn't have a tickle valve, it has the nut. So we're going to take this bowl off by loosening the nut, and we're going to dump the gas out in there. If left in there for any amount of time, 6, 8, 10 months, that gas is going to turn into like gum or varnish, and it would be like pouring paint in your carburetor and letting it dry. It's not going to work when you go to start it up the next time. You're probably going to have to bring it into the small engine repair place, and what a nightmare that's going to be. In the next emergency, everybody's going to be waiting in line with their generators. Everybody's going to have the same problem, clogged up carburetors. Don't be an idiot like that. So we're going to take a 1/2-inch wrench on this one. We're taking a 1/2-inch wrench. We're going right up under that carburetor bowl. We're going to find that nut and orient it so we're going counterclockwise to loosen it. There we go. We got it. It's not the easiest nut to get to, but it's not impossible either. Actually, I think this son of a bitch is metric. I think this son of a bitch is metric. Yup, it's a fucking 13. Like you're upside down now, so you want to think in your head, like if clockwise is which way, and if you're upside down, which way is clockwise. Okay, so we got that nut loose. Now there's actually gas coming out right now, a couple of drops. I can feel it, so we got a rag to catch it. And it's coming right out. You really only have to get it a little bit loose with the wrench. And then the rest is done with your fingers. Okay, here's that nut. And here's the bowl. And I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of sediments in there and stuff. You see all that brown crap's all sediment and stuff? So that's what we're going to clear out. Alright, it's just a couple of drops. We're going to dump it. We're going to spray our solvent in there. Here, take a look. You see that crap in there? You see all those little specks and dots? That's all crap. Bad for your carburetor. We're going to wipe it out. Now, this carburetor could go to storage and nothing's going to happen to it. Because the little couple of drops of gas that are in there right now has been flushed through with the fuel stabilizing solution. That's not a brand name. And we've also removed the float bowl. They call it a float bowl, and we wiped it out. Now we're just going to inspect the float. We don't want to really touch it because it's very sensitive with adjustments and stuff. But we're just inspecting it. And it looks perfectly fine to me. There's no gum buildup from the last couple of times it was run because I do this every time. So it's perfectly fine. So now, being careful that the O-ring or the gasket is still in place, we're going to put our cup very carefully back where it was. We're going to reinstall our nut, and there's a little gasket under the nut. We're going to check it, and there's a couple of little portholes. We're going to check that there's no debris stuck in there. We're going to put our nut in very carefully, clockwise to tighten. We're going to make sure it's not cross-threaded by making sure it goes in finger tight. Not a problem. Nice and smooth and straight. And then once we're sure it's not cross-threaded, like right now it's just going in with my fingers, like, you know, hole turns very easily. When I get it nice and snug, I can put the wrench on it and give it the final tightening. Fucking metric. Who would know? Made in the USA generator. Fucking metric. Okay, we don't want to go gorilla retarded tight, but we want to put it on at least as tight as it was when we took it off. Which is like right there. Now, we can reassemble everything. We might want to take a quick inspection in there. Okay, I see a little dirt down in the bottom. I'm going to wipe it down. I see, okay, so there was a little hose that attached to the back of the carburetor plate to this rubber nub. We're going to want to make sure that's reinstalled in the proper position. We want to wipe everything down. So I'm going to put that little nub on there. The little nub is on. Now we're just going to line up the screw holes and reinstall. I guess they would call this a carburetor plate. And this stuff just takes, you know, a couple of minutes. And it guarantees that the next time you need this baby, it's going to start up. Alright, carburetor plate is tight. Now we're going to take this air filter assembly that we wiped it out, we inspected it, we're going to put it back in. This particular one, it has a series of hinges on one side. We're going to interlock those hinges, and then we're going to push it in place, and we're going to tighten up, like, I don't know what they call them, set screws or something that hold it in position. Now this thing is like ready at this point to go back in the box and into storage. We've drained the gas, we drained the fuel lines, we drained the gas tank, we drained the carburetor float bowl. We changed the oil and refilled it with new oil to recommended level. And basically we're going to wipe it down so it's nice and clean, and we're going to stick it back in the box. Now, I've thrown away most of the packing material in this box, but I kept the bottom piece of styrofoam. I keep my service records over here, so I'm going to note what we just did now, and I'm also going to note the estimated hours that the machine actually run during this disaster. It's a little heavy, so be careful picking it up. And this is a cover that came with it that like went over the fuel side, that it's really not necessary. I felt I had better cooling without it. So I took it off, but I do keep it with it in case in the future, like if I want to sell it or barter it when the shit hits the fan, I can stick the cover back on. So the last thing I'm going to do is just make a note inside here. Here was August 28, 2011, Hurricane Irene, 10 hours. September 1st, 12 hours, Irene related. Okay, because we lost our power in Irene and then we got it back. And then a few days later it went out again. So I'm going to make a note. October 31st through November 9th, 2012. Hurricane, Superstorm Sandy / Nor'easter. Double whammy, and the estimated hours, so that was like 12.5 days, let's say 10 hours each day, so 120 hours, and in that 120 hours we did 4 oil changes, we inspected the air filter, and we cleaned it out for storage. Okay, good. Alright, duly noted, and now this goes back in its storage spot. Alright, you guys. I hope none of you have to deal with any kind of disaster like this, but if you do, you're going to want your generator to start. So if you didn't put it away like this the last time and you're starting to think, hey shit, I didn't clean out my carburetor bowl, you know, and winter's coming and stuff, get your generator out and check it, you know, do the necessary stuff, change your oil, check your fuel system, and be ready. That's the last thing you want in a fucking disaster when your family's at stake, you know, and there's no lights and you got looters and, you know, there's no heat, you want a hot shower and life is sucking. You know, you're going to want something to depend on. You're going to want, like, something you could run your furnace, maybe a hot water heater, or get some lights, coffee machine, something like that. Some sort of sense of civil society and something that grounds you, and this, no pun intended, could possibly be your gen set. So keep it running good. Guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to rate and sub to the channel, because, you know, the handyman zone is where it's at.